Have you seen my parents? They told me to stay here with the others. They said they'd be back soon, but it's been days. They left with the man from Uldar. The man said they were going to change everything, make it so we could live inside the walls with everyone else. I liked it when he said that. I didn't like it when he talked about making the rich people pay. Everyone looked so angry and I got scared. Say, miss, are you looking for someone? I'm looking for a merchant. You mean the man who left with my parents? But I don't know where he... Wait, look, over there. I think that's him. Well now, which of these gullible fools shall be my next victim? You, I... He's getting away. Go get him, miss. You again? Why are you pursuing me? Sedition? Treason? Revolution? That's preposterous. Who has filled your head with these lies? Refugees? The self-same refugees who terrorise the streets of Uldar? Ha! You've no evidence to prove your accusations. None. No, I will not accompany you to the Hall of Flames. You've no right to detain me. For the sake of argument, let us say I did do the things you claim. Surely you don't think I give a keycurn's ass about politics. It was business. Only business. We both know I'm not the one you want. However, if you agree to protect me, I swear I shall tell you everything. I don't think we're going to get the chance. Boromir! What's all this commotion? 7 hells. Tell the others to spread out and search the area. The killer may still be close. It's a good thing I'm not an archer, because this would look really suspicious. Hold, adventurer. I would know more about your relationship with the victim, as well as the events leading up to his death. This man was responsible for the recent riots. Mayhap we owe his murderer a debt of gratitude. In any case, it's obvious you are not the one whom we seek. You may carry on with your investigations, Scion. What news? Where is the merchant? About that. Murdered? Damn it all to the 7th hell. He was not simply murdered, he was silenced. Too many knew his face, and he was ready to divulge his secrets. Do not despair, though. We may be closer to identifying the true orchestrator of these riots than you realise. The Flame General left word that you were to proceed to the Fragrant Chamber as soon as you returned. He wishes to discuss your recent discoveries as well as the results of our own investigation. Master Alphanel has already been informed and should be waiting for you outside. Pray proceed to the Royal Promenade with all haste and speak with Bartholomew. We've been expecting you, madam. Please proceed inside.
Commander Swift has kept us apprised of your recent activities. You've made great strides towards quelling the violence.
Despite our best efforts to determine what provoked this uprising, the truth continues to elude us. Have you uncovered aught which might shed some light on the mystery?
This information does not leave this room. The Syndicate's decision to reject the Doman refugees' appeal for asylum had lasting repercussions. A number of those displaced by the calamity claimed it was proof of a policy of discrimination. Together with a group of Alamegan refugees, they organized a series of demonstrations to protest against the Sultanate. Demonstrations which became heated, but did not descend into violence. Until a certain incident served as a call to arms.
A unit of brass blades sent to supervise a demonstration loosed arrows upon unarmed protesters. It was this atrocity which prompted the refugees to take up arms. I need not tell you what followed.
We assumed at first that the attack was born of a miscommunication. When emotions run high, they happen. But suspicions were raised regarding the unit's commanding officer, whom I ordered interrogated. Sure enough, our fears were soon confirmed. The dog confessed that a merchant had offered him coin to give the order. A merchant in the employ of Teleji Adeleji.
Teleji Adeleji. But he spoke in favor of the Doman's cause, and has ever seemed sympathetic towards the refugees' plight. Why would he do such a thing?
Know you of the Cartano Reclamation Bill? It is a proposal to annex the Cartano Flats so that refugees may establish permanent settlements.
When last I looked, that was disputed territory.
Aye. Some might even call it a battlefield. The destruction wrought by Bahamut was greatest at the Cartano Flats. That much is common knowledge. What is less well known is that his rampage laid bare ancient Alagon ruins, of which no record existed. There are certain differences of opinion as to how these ruins should be handled, which is why each nation maintains a military presence in the region to this day. Yet differ though we may, we are still allies. Therefore, in the interest of preserving the Eorzean alliance, we have reached an agreement. Any conflict which may arise during the course of military exercises in the region shall have no bearing on relations between our nations. In full knowledge of this delicate state of affairs, Teleji Adeleji proposed the Cartano Reclamation Bill, a shameless bloody ruse which stands to benefit him in but one conceivable way. If successful, he will gain control over the disputed territory under the guise of assisting in the resettlement effort. And you can be sure he'll build an orphanage next to every Alagon ruin.
The man would threaten the unity of the Eorzean alliance and risk countless lives for personal gain.
He walks a path all his own, independent of any faction and beholden to none of his fellows on the Syndicate.
By inciting the less fortunate to violence, he hopes to convince others that the Cartano Reclamation Bill is the only viable solution. His sympathy for the plight of the Domans was not but posturing to gain credibility with the refugees. Of that there can be no doubt.
Forgive me, but what could possibly motivate Teleji Adeleji to go to such lengths? What is so special about these ruins that he would risk his position on the Syndicate, and, most likely, charges of treason against the Sultanate?
Omega.
Pardon?
An Alagon monstrosity, not unlike the Ultima weapon. Mayhap larger, we know not. It has yet to be fully excavated. Alagon inscriptions indicate that it was created to fell Bahamut himself. If accurate, it might explain why Nail Van Darnus chose to bring the Red Moon down upon the Cartano Flats, given the ends he went to ensure Eorzea's annihilation. Destroying the one weapon which could stay the Elder Primal may well have seemed like good sense.
When first I bore witness to the power of the Ultima weapon, I doubted the evidence of my senses. And now you tell me there is another such weapon, one which could contend with Bahamut. Bahamut!
Aye, we were skeptical ourselves. Truth be told, until the Ultima weapon's existence came to light, we thought the inscription had been mistranslated.
At present, Omega is more akin to a fossil than a tool of war, having long since ceased to function. As such, its true potential cannot accurately be gauged. However, if someone were to restore it, as the Garleans did the Ultima weapon, I have little doubt that he would wield untold power.
Power enough to subjugate Uldar like as not, and the rest of Eorzea besides, which is doubtless why Teleji Adeleji yearns to have it.
That he should aspire to world domination. He who has ever walked 2 paces behind Lord Lolorito in matters of commerce.
'Tis in acknowledgement of his own limitations that he seeks this power. Woe betide us all should we allow him to have it.
Pray waste no time chasing rats. Only a fool would believe that secrets can be kept in Uldar.
It would seem the implications of the Sultanate's refugee problem are rather more far-reaching than we assumed.
I should be glad to know the truth, and yet the thought that all this chaos was the product of one man's lust for power sickens me. How long do you think they intended to hide the existence of Omega from the Scions? That they even felt the need to do so is most troubling. It would be in our best interest to learn more of the military activities in the disputed territories. Fortunately, you're already well positioned to do so, Lieutenant. Pray keep us informed of any developments in Cartano. Begone, whelp, this is no place for children. I'm sorry. I was looking for you, miss. You said you were looking for the man who left with my parents. You know this girl? So he visited Stone's Throw as well, I see. Did you find the man? Were my parents with him? They were not, I'm afraid. However, I can think of several places they might be. If you like, we can go and look for them together. Really? You'd help me look, mister? Of course, but first I must needs finish speaking with my friend. She's telling me a secret, you see, so no one else is allowed to listen. Mayhap you could wait for me by that pillar over there. We'll require but a moment. Okay, mister, I'll be waiting. I'll take her to the quicksand. Mayhap Momodi will know what to do. A legion of Garleans, an Aether-staffed primal, even dealing with an Ascian would be preferable to this charade. Sometimes I fear Minfilia is too ambitious. We rush hither and yon in response to threats as they arise, without concern for the strain it places on our limited resources, and ourselves. Mayhap the time has come for a change. This is Minfilia. I know this is sudden, but I must ask you to return to Revenant's Toll with all due haste. The situation in the Twelveswood has taken a turn for the worst. I'll explain in detail once you arrive. The Twelveswood, then the primal threat she spoke of before has been confirmed. I've received no reports of Ixal activity, which leaves the Sylphs. Go. You know as well as I that the appearance of a primal takes precedence over all else. Oh, and when you arrive, do inform the antecedent that while I'm grateful for her concern, she needn't fear for my safety. I'm more than capable of protecting myself. It's a relief to see you healthy and hale. The latest news from Uldar was most disturbing. Clearly the only injury Alphanel suffered was to his ego. Doubtless it will heal ere long. The other Scions will need to be present for this meeting. If you're ready to begin, I will summon them now. Thank you for responding to my call with such haste. Rest assured, I should not have summoned you were it not urgent. To business, then. I've received some most disturbing news from the Order of the Twin Adder. They've reason to believe that the Sylphs may have called forth their revered guardian, the Primal Ramuh. I'm sorry, may have? Then it's not certain. The Elder Seedseer informs us that the elementals themselves murmur of the Lord of Levin's return to the forest. The Sylphlings, however, display no signs of undue commotion. Forgive me, antecedent, but that fact need not contradict the elemental's testimony. Unlike his more bellicose compeers, Garuda and so on, Ramuh is reputed to act only in the defence of his children. I imagine he would soon make his presence known if any were foolish enough to directly endanger the Sylphs or their territory. The abruptness of this development concerns me. Were we not keeping a close watch on the touched ones and their movements? If preparations for a summoning ritual were indeed underway, 'twould surely not have escaped your notice. Oh, it didn't. I was pretty sure it was going to happen, just not this soon. I beg your pardon. You foresaw this eventuality and did naught to prevent it. I told Papalimo. I suppose I could have reported things to Minfilia earlier, but there honestly wasn't much we could do except wait and see. You know how the Sylphs feel about people poking around in their territory. They already summoned Ramuh once, right after the calamity, but that was because the Garleans came tramping through their forest. And so long as Castrum Orion stands, the Sylphs cannot be blamed for wishing to have their guardian deity on hand. In short, Ida and I are in agreement. The actions of the forest folk were inevitable and unavoidable. And I maintain that observation would have remained the best policy had it not been for the sudden influx of strangers into the Black Shroud. That, alas, we did not foresee. By all accounts, the recent violence in Uldar drove a number of refugees to seek safety under the concealing canopy of the trees. 'Tis like that the Sylphs perceived this panicked migration as yet another invasion, and quickened their efforts to summon their god. I'm put in mind of Titan and the kobolds. Once again, it's the affairs of men which have paved the way for a primal's coming. Indeed, one cannot help but wonder what manner of place Eorzea would be without the civilizing influence of mankind. Be that as it may, this regrettable development does afford us a unique opportunity. Through your dealings with the Sylphs of Little Solace, you once succeeded in preventing an untimely conflict with Gridania. I wonder might one who has treated with the Sylphs so fruitfully in the past not achieve similar success with their patron deity? If Ramuh can be convinced of our intentions, it may be the first step to breaking the cycle of primal summoning. A fond hope, were such a thing possible, we would not have been at war with the Beastmen since time immemorial. But maybe this time we can... Let us continue this discussion anon. We must needs first consult with the nation most affected by Ramuh's presence. The Elder Seedseer has requested your personal involvement. Pray report to Commander Huilo at the Adder's Nest as soon as you're able. Steel yourself for the worst. While I hope for a peaceful resolution to this matter, experience suggests that your meeting with the Lord of Levin will prove less than amicable. In such an event, your fellow Scions will of course lend you whatever support you require. Your arrival has been most anticipated. The appearance of a primal is ever cause for alarm and unease. Though my men stand ready for any eventuality, I know of none more qualified than you to snuff out this threat. Indeed, I would have you do so without delay. The Elder Seedseer, however, would speak with you first. She's of the opinion that your diplomatic, rather than martial skills, may better serve our cause. I will leave further explanation to our learned leader. Pray make your way to Nofika's altar. The conjurer in attendance will admit you to the lotus stand.
Scions of the Seventh Dawn, on behalf of the people of Gridania, I bid you welcome. Your presence is of great comfort to us all in these days of uncertainty. I summoned you here to share tidings of a most urgent nature. But a short while ago, the great elemental spoke, and his voice was clarion in its intensity. Ramuh is returned unto the forest. Scarce had his words ceased to echo in mine ears when we were visited by an emissary from Little Solace. Your guest informs us that the sylphs too have sensed the presence of the Lord of Levin. Though his exact whereabouts remain unknown, we may safely assume that the primal was summoned within the heart of the Sylphlands. Unlike the other primals you have encountered, Lord Ramu is no raging avatar of destruction. He is revered as much for his wisdom as his strength, serving as both arbiter and guardian to his children. Given that we and the Sylphs found a way to share the Twelveswood, it is my hope that this sagely immortal will be amenable to reason, and that conflict may be avoided. Blessed as you are with the power of the Echo, you are one of the few among us who may commune with a primal without fear of influence. I would ask, therefore, that you represent us in this most delicate of negotiations. The Twelveswood has suffered enough. Upon this, we and the Sylphs, and I would venture Lord Ramu himself, are in perfect accord. Let us not endanger our shared home by engaging in unnecessary hostilities. Dear friend, I beseech you, safeguard the peace which exists between our peoples. You have my thanks. Pray make for little solace, then. A member of the Order of the Twin Adder awaits you there. He will advise you on how to find the Lord of Levin. An ill wind blows through the forest. Yet, it is not only the Twelveswood that flinches at its coming. All the lands Veorzia shiver in dread anticipation. Have care.
I was told to expect you. I understand you go to treat with the primal Ramu himself. An unenviable task, but one for which I have no doubt you're well suited. I've been told that your fellow Scions are conducting an investigation of the area as we speak, that we might ascertain the location where the Lord of Levin might be found. I would ask that you abide here until they return with their findings. I was told that a messenger would be sent as soon as your fellow Scions finish their investigation. I do not imagine it will take much longer. This one returns and returns with good tidings. Wise ones have finished searching and have wisely identified the precise location where the touched ones summon Lord Ramu. Your time is impeccable, my fluttery friend. Might you be so kind as to escort this good woman to her fellow Scions? It will be this one's pleasure, Walking One. Please, please come with this one. Wise ones have ventured deep, deep within the Sylphlands. These ones must proceed carefully and keep an eye out for touched ones. This one is most sorry, but this one can go no further. Draw too close to Lord Ramu and this one may turn mean and nasty like touched ones. And so this one must say farewell for now. Walking One will find wise ones not far from here, to the south. Go in safety, Walking One. So it's actually you. I'm relieved. For a moment I thought we were dealing with another one of those confounded sylph tricksters. I swear, with them wreaking havoc with their skin-changing magics, it's a wonder I was able to finish taking my measurements. Yes, it was quite the ordeal. You should have seen the look on Nistola's face when the one impersonating you suddenly showed up. That's quite enough, Papalimo. My apologies. It's not like me to ramble so. At any rate, as I was saying, I finished measuring etheric activity in the area, and I'm pleased to say I've reached an undisputable conclusion, to wit that Ramu was called forth in the vicinity of the Sylph's Etherite. Come, the Lord of Levin awaits.
Nora betrays thee, servant of hiding.
Ow.
not the bringer of light, bane of Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Leviathan. I am Ramu, guardian of the children of the forest. Thou tramplest upon sacred soil, bringer of light. By what right doth man intrude in this sanctuary of the sylphs? The Gridanians proffer peace? Their words are born of delusion, thine offer an insult. Thou speakest of harmony, yet carest naught for my children's desires. They did but wish to dwell beneath these boughs in solitude. Yet even that was too much to ask of man. Thus did they turn to me for succor. The sentence I pronounce upon thy kind is just. Redanian or Garlean, it matters not. The good intent of one excuseth not the misdeeds of the other. Thy conflicts have brought naught but anguish and misery unto the forest. All blame doth lie with the darkness that resideth in the breast of man. Whence sprung this calamitous seed? In the beginning no such duality existed. Were light and dark given form when man was born? It would explain much. Not least why strife and sorrow follow ever in thy wake. Thou canst not deny the urgings of thine own nature. Knowing that thy mere presence here portendeth tragedy, wilt thou persist in this pretense of peacemaking? Thou bearest the crystal which I bestowed upon my wayward charges. That they should entrust so precious a gift to thee. Thou standest apart from thy kin. Thou art the bringer of light, aye. But there is something more in thee. Very well. I shall consider thy proposal. Shouldst thou survive my trial. If thou wouldst champion the cause of harmony, I must have proof that thou art fit to play the role. Wither mine ire, and prove to me thereby that thou hast strength enough to stay the darkness which threateneth to consume thee. Yet if thou shouldst be found wanting, know that all men shall perish in the storm of my judgment. Come to me, bringer of light. I shall await thee on the field of battle.
Urianger, it is rare indeed to find you so far from at home.
The Lord of Levin himself. Never till this day had I looked upon his visage, save in painted renderings made faint by time. Ever shall this scene remain etched in my mind's eye. Beg pardon, my lady. I must beg thine aid on a point of research. If thou art resolved to face Lord Ramu, I would ask thy leave to observe the event.
I have taken thy measure, bringer of light. And I judge thee a worthy champion. The task of excising the sin that hath taken root in man's heart is thine. Shrink not from employing thy strength in service to the forest and the wider realm beyond. Like hungering shadows do the enemies of harmony gather, and meekness will but feed them. If man is to be delivered from the dark, it shall be by thy guiding light alone. Stray not from the path, for if thou dost, thy people shall be truly lost.
Thou hast slain the Lord of Levin. A regrettable act, but a necessary one. In witnessing thy struggle, a truth hath been revealed unto me. If I mistake not, it may yet prove a chink in the eternal armor of the Ascians. But let us conclude our present business. I shall expound upon my findings at the Rising Stones anon.
You've returned. Dare I ask how Ramu received your visit? He challenged you to a test of arms. It's well then that you have some experience in such matters. The peoples of both Gridania and Little Solace will be relieved to hear that the Lord of Levin has accepted you as the forest's champion of peace. You've performed a monumental duty this day. The Elder Seedseer must be informed of your deeds at once. The Elder Seedseer will wish to hear of your experiences firsthand. Pray return to Gridania and make directly for the Lotus Stand. The Conjurer at Nofaka's altar will be expecting you. Fare you well. Welcome back, honoured Scion. We who knew of your mission have been most anxious to see you return. The Elder Seedseer awaits you within.
You are returned to us, dear friend, and none the worse for bearing the heavy burden which I did press upon you. Most glad am I of this. I am informed that your efforts to negotiate a peace with Lord Ramu ended in conflict. Pray tell me, what befell? Ramu made trial of you? I fear there is truth to his claim. It is the darkness within us that attracts the darkness without. It cannot be denied that misfortune follows man. For evidence, one need only look to the conflict brewing in Cartanel, or to the rising flood of refugees. Our shared struggle against the Empire should have served to seal our union. Yet the ties which bind the Alliance strain under the weight of gross self-interest. As the scars of the calamity begin to fade, so too does our sense of common purpose. Yet now is scarce the time to forget our shared responsibility. If this new-sprung realm is to survive beyond its infancy, it must needs be nurtured by all. Eorzea must be as one, yet I fear that dream is still far off. On behalf of the people of Gridania and the elementals both, I thank you for all that you and your fellow scions have done. Full oft have I been compelled to look to you for aid of late, and offered all too little in return. As leader of this nation, I shall endeavor to prove a more worthy ally to your cause henceforth. Lord Ramu has departed, yet the keening of this ill wind grows no less insistent. Voices of the forest, pray speak and I shall listen. What unseen evil begets this unease in my heart?
Thus ends another daunting mission, eh? I'd hoped Lord Ramu could be persuaded with words alone, but nonetheless, I can only admire the adroitness with which you responded to the Primal's sudden challenge. And it seems that Urianger too was pleased with the outcome. What say you? Shall we gather back at the Rising Stones and ponder the lessons of the day? Welcome back. Word of your momentous encounter with Lord Ramu precedes you. I would fain share news of mine own, but Urianger's discoveries must take precedence. Upon witnessing your defeat of the Lord of Levin, our learned companion was struck with a profound insight regarding the nature of the Ascian's immortality. Let us assemble and discuss his observations together.
If everyone is ready, let us begin. Urianger, the floor is yours.
As all here assembled now know, in its final hours as our Order's headquarters, the Waking Sands did play host to a most unexpected visitor. I speak of the Ascian clad in white, Elidibus. Unwelcome though his presence was, his words that day did serve to confirm a truth long suspected, that the Ascians are eternal beings, to whom physical destruction is as a temporary inconvenience.
In the intervening time, Urianger and I have striven to discover a means by which the Ascians might more permanently be slain.
And 'tis my belief that we have found the thread that will allow us to unravel the twisted skein of their existence. In the moments prior to Leviathan's most recent manifestation, the Sahagin elder who summoned him was observed to undergo some manner of ascension. The etheric readings taken by Y'shtola at the time of this transfiguration have proven most enlightening.
The disruption to the flow of ether was sudden and dramatic. So tangible was the agitation, I scarce had need of my goggles.
The significance of Y'shtola's readings might better be understood in the context of mine own, taken at the instant of the Lord of Levin's demise. Unlike the Primal, the Sahagin was not subject to etheric dissipation.
Before discussing our new discoveries, it may benefit us all to recall what we know of etheric behavior. Let us begin at what some might call the end. When we who dwell in the material realm die, our spirits dissolve into the flow of ether and are returned to the ethereal realm. In turn, the restless energy which suffuses that plane streams back into our world, giving rise to new life.
'Tis as the heavens did decree, the way of all mortal souls. Twixt this world and the next do the ethereal currents swirl, bearing the very essence of life. Thus doth the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth continue unabated.
Primals behave somewhat differently. In order to manifest and then maintain a physical presence in this realm, they must consume vast quantities of ether, most often in the form of crystals. Though they may seem to live, their flesh is but ether given shape. Thus, a defeated primal leaves behind no broken corpse. Rather, the essence of its form seeps back into the land whence it came, and the energy of its shattered spirit is called back to the ethereal realm.
And there it waiteth, till next the prayers of the faithful do draw it forth from the sea of ether, to take their offering of crystals and make for itself a new body.
Which brings us on to the third group, the so-called immortals. They exist in a manner all their own.
Quite. Even as the Sahagin elder fell to the Admiral's musket shot, I witnessed the release of an ethereal cloud, which immediately took possession of a nearby minion.
A soul that dissipateth not upon the death of the flesh.
The secret of life everlasting, and in the claws of a Sahuagin no less. But I wonder, what would happen to one of these obstinate spirits should there be no suitable host for it to claim?
If mortal death entails a return to the ethereal realm, it seems doubtful that the soul of an immortal would venture there.
Nay, it merely withdraweth the distance, unto the shore of the ethereal sea, perchance, but no further.
Yes, it exists in neither this realm nor the next, abiding instead in the space that lies between them. The Ascians took control of Thancred by means of a crystal of darkness, an artifact which, if our theories are correct, serves as a gateway to the place I have just described.
I was hoping people had forgotten about that.
I am sorry, my friend.
For a mercy, the weary road of our research hath brought us unto an answer.
The Sahuagin ascended to an immortal state, but he did not possess a crystal of darkness through which to flee this realm. Thus was he consumed by Leviathan. If we could entrap the spirits of defeated Ascians in like manner, and thereby deny them resurrection,
Therein lieth the path to victory. Thou art most perceptive, my lady. Only when we have trapped the bodiless soul within an ethereal prison can we hope to defeat its unnatural constancy. Thus might even an eternal paragon be consigned to oblivion.
These feats are, of course, far easier said than done. At present, we lack a viable means to entrap and extinguish an Ascian soul. Yet, I believe it to be possible. The pieces of the puzzle lie before us. We have but to put them together.
I will depart at once to convene with the sages of Sharlayan. Together shall we divine the steps by which our goals may be achieved.
I have the utmost faith in you, Archon.
Beg pardon, antecedent, but I would raise one final matter. Even now, a Sharlayan survey party seeketh to ascertain the fate of the students of Baldessian. Their findings shall soon be known to us. Though you harbor feelings of dread, I bid you surrender not to sorrow, but abide instead in hopeful prayer.
I shall, Archon. Thank you.